Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Justin. Today I want to put out a short updated video of a video I made a couple weeks ago about fixing my controller on my plow. Now we got a snowstorm on January 20th, 2025. Today is actually January 23rd, so it was 3 days ago. I hadn't been out plowing since I fixed the controller, and I thought that that had fixed, my problem. So I left my house at right around 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., and I didn't get home until almost 4. Now I plow within my town and then a couple other towns above me, but regardless, it shouldn't have taken me literally all day to go out and plow all these driveways. So most of these driveways, it would take typically, maybe 2 or 3 minutes max, no more than 4 minutes max, to plow a driveway. My plow is 9 foot 2 inches long. So cutting out the connector that I had showed you, which is right here. This is the part that we originally cut out in that video, and it's just a male and female connection. And I had stated in the video that I'd order new ones, and I have them right here. And there's 2 other ones that come with this kit, and they're on the desk over there. But anyway, I have not yet put this on, because in the video I had showed you how I just used some butt connectors and connected the wires together. So initially when I was out plowing the other day, I had thought maybe I goofed up and didn't get a good enough, connection between with my wires, because like I was saying, every time I'd pull up to a driveway, the plow would go down, but it wouldn't go left, it wouldn't go right, and it wouldn't come up. So there's a a short issue or something, right? Like I'm not getting power somewhere. Even though it's showing there's power at the controller, I'm not getting any power, right? So I would sit there and mess around with the wires for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes, like real time. And then finally the plow would come up, and then it would go left, it would go right. And then I'd be able to plow the driveway, right? So in reality, I was spending more time messing with the plow, the controller, the wires, everything, trying to get the plow to work, than actually plowing the driveway. You talk about frustration. So I got home from plowing very frustrated, very annoyed, and just couldn't figure out what the heck was going on with this thing. So I got thinking, I'm like, well, I'll make some phone calls to the dealers. I'm going to call different dealers, which I did. I called 3 different dealers. For me to get a wiring harness, a new wiring harness for this vehicle, was like pretty much slim to none. I had one dealer tell me they could get me a wiring harness, and it was going to cost me like $400 without the controller. Now, mind you, I had just bought a brand new controller from a dealer, which is right here. This is literally brand new. I hooked this to my truck down at the dealer, made the plow go up, come down, left, right, got home, went to go try to use this again, and this thing instantly smoked. This thing does not work anymore. This was $400, and that was because the guy gave me a discount. I think these things are more toward $500 brand new. Like, it's a box with a circuit board with some wires and a switch, like 4 little switches. How can it be that expensive? I'm sorry, but their wire is not any better than wire you can buy at the store. There's nothing I can do about it. So I'm still using the old controller that originally came with the vehicle, which is literally the twin of that controller I just showed you, and you've seen in the previous video if you watched that video. So I was going to, because of the price of the wiring harness, I cannot justify spending that kind of money on fixing up this plow when my plan is for next season, 2020, well, the end of 2025 and the beginning of 2026 season, I guess is what you would say. I plan on upgrading. I plan on getting a more modern, you know, newer plow. I think I want to go to a V plow. I have a pretty long hill driveway that I plow for a customer, and it just makes it, you know, if we get some real deep snow, I don't think I'm going to be able to even plow it with the straight blade. The V plow is going to be nice because I can actually V it and then be able to just drive through. So I'm not really worried about that. However, I thought, well, instead of building a wiring harness, let me figure out, like, I'm just gonna start right at the plow frame because I have power coming to the controller. So I know there's power going through the harness. So I looked at the motor, the actual hydraulic motor. And again, here, so this is the motor. And I took this thing apart and you can just see like how nasty that is. And not to mention too, look at those brushes. Those brushes are worn so bad. That's why the inside of that housing is just covered in soot. Not to mention too, like the actual magnet is just like corroded. And then there's corrosion on the plate. The bushing is worn out. And everything's just like, it's old. In fact, I called, so this is a Western brand. And I called, like, I contacted Western's parts. They don't even have this motor anymore. They have a replacement now. And so it was going to be like 200 and something bucks, and then I would have had, you know, I had to wait for it to get here. So when I got this truck, this thing, like coupler is what it's saying. This coupler, the person who owned this vehicle before me welded it, literally welded it to the post. And I don't know why. Because this is supposed to be like a bolt that comes out and you would just put a nut on it. So I don't know what happened, you know, with this area right here. Anyways, if you look inside, you can see the wire that's actually hooked to a brush. And I don't have 3 hands. Let me see if I'm just trying to give you good enough light. But this wire right here that I'm wiggling is hooked to this post. So you can actually take this thing and spin this around like this. And when you do that, you can see how twisted up that wire is. Like, it is twisted beyond. My light's dying. It's yeah, it's extremely twisted up to the point where you can actually see part of the wire is fraying off. And so that's where the positive lead comes in. You know, that's what provides power to this motor. So I was actually able to get a motor, a replacement motor, through my local O'Reilly Auto Parts here in my town where I live. So they were able to get me a motor, and I put the motor on yesterday, and that was $220 something. So it was basically the same exact price as what Western Parts was going to charge me, and I was able to get it the same day. So I put the new motor on, changed out the fluid. The screen inside that's hooked to the pump was so packed full of just nastiness. Now again, I didn't video any of this because I was just, to be honest with you, I was just frustrated. I need this thing to work. It's rather embarrassing when you pull up to a customer's driveway to try and plow them, and then you have to jump out of your vehicle and sit there and screw around with the wiring and figure out why the heck the plow isn't working. And after doing that for 5 or 10 minutes per driveway on 15 driveways, if you are still calm and relaxed and happy, then I mean, I have 1,000,000% respect for you, because I have a lot of patience. They were gone by the time I got home, if you can only imagine. So I put the new motor on yesterday, And I said, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to break this down into sections because I'm going to get this fixed one way or another. I didn't even want to spend this kind of money neither. So I put the motor on. I said, if the motor don't work, I'm going to go to the solenoid. If the solenoid isn't the issue, then I'm going to rebuild the wiring harness. And if it's not the wiring harness, then it's going to be the controller. And what I thought about is with the controller is I don't need to buy another controller box like that. I would make up my own out of 3-pole switches, which you can buy at any parts store. Do the same exact thing as a joystick controller. This thing kind of just does it all for you in this nice little box. But if you took one of these boxes apart, you'll see that on each corner there's actually a little tiny switch. So with a 3-pole toggle switch, it'll literally do the same exact thing. So like I said, I put the motor on. This morning I took it for a little ride. And that's how it would happen, right? So I would be here at the house, the plow would work just fine, and then I would leave to go to a customer's driveway, drop the plow, and then it wouldn't work. So I ran out, got some gas for the truck, or fuel, excuse me. Came back home, tried to make the plow move side to side, left to right, and it would not move. And I'm like, well, it wasn't the motor. So the next thing is going to be the solenoid, which is, on my vehicle, it's the solenoid that looks like this. Some vehicles have like the round style. Mine is this oblong looking thing. So when I got back to the house, like I said, the plow wouldn't move left or right, and that's how I usually tested it first, left or right, because I don't want to drop it, and then if I can't get it back up. So it wouldn't move. So I didn't want to screw around with the wiring anymore because I was just, for whatever reason, I was just to determine that it had nothing to do with the wiring. So I popped the hood and I took the backside of a rubber screwdriver and I literally just tapped this solenoid. It started working again. And I'm like, all right, well, you don't pop your hood to tap your solenoid to make things work. Like, you just don't. That would be an extreme inconvenience, and people don't do that. So I actually did a quick Google search and just asked basically if a solenoid can work and not work, and then a whole bunch of stuff popped up. So this, as of the recording of this video, this is my first season actually plowing with a vehicle. Before this, I was plowing with like a big snowblower, which is an Aaron's Professional, and I'm hoping one day I can kind of put a little video up here on the channel and show you that thing, because that thing is just a beast. But anyhow, when I went to the parts store, they had 6 of these on the rack. That's how common solenoids are, I guess. So I asked the person that was working the counter there, I said, is this a common part? And they said, oh yeah, we sell out of these things left and right. And I'm like, oh wow. So it was cheap. It was like 29 or 30 bucks or whatever. Like, no big deal. The motor was almost $230, right? So then the controller itself, the guy gave me a discount. So that was $400, right? Just to try to get this thing to work. So the point of my whole story here is that I started at the plow where the motor was, when in reality, I hope that this will save you hundreds of dollars, because if you're having these kinds of issues, even with a newer vehicle, you know, a 2020, 2024 vehicle, and your plow's not working and you have power coming in, check the solenoid before you do anything else. This is like the cheapest part out of the entire plow system. Check the solenoid. There's actually some videos online that will show you how you can test this. I actually tested the solenoid and before plow season, and it was working, because I was told myself that solenoids are pretty common, but I tested it and I thought it was pretty good. So instead of spending $400 for a controller, $230 for a motor, so now we're at $630, and then $30 for the solenoid. I could have probably bought the solenoid for $30, and I probably would have been right where I'm at now, because as soon as I put the solenoid on, everything works just fine. So I wanted to just make this video as like an updated video of what's going on with the plow system on my truck currently. You know, again, at the time of recording of this video. If you've made it to this point in the video, consider dropping a like. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. I plan to put out a video, at least one video every week, if not more. And yeah, and just kind of just go from there. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next video.